Hi, everybody, here at SVA and also on our live stream international. My name is Jan Hutner, and in 2004, I was part of a group in Illinois that created a project called Swan, Women in the Audience Supporting Women Artists Now. Very successful all around Illinois, and then I met Martha Richards. Martha Richards at that time was the executive director of a group called Women Arts, and she said to me, why don't we just set our Swan loose and make it international? And that was the birth of International Swan Day. So I'm very proud to be the co-creator of International Swan Day with my partner, Martha Richards, who I'm sure is watching on the live stream right now in San Francisco. So I'm not going to talk a lot right now about any of that or any of the history. I'd just like to welcome our international audience, and I'm the president of FF2 Media, and we have FF2 Media people and their friends all around the world. I want to give a shout out to Sydney, Australia, to Stockholm, Sweden, to London, England, to Tel Aviv, Israel, and Yerevan, Armenia. Thank you all, and have a great day. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I lost my head for a minute. I'd like to introduce Leslie Shreve, who is representing the Women in Arts and Media Coalition and also SAG-AFTRA.
Yay! And we thank Martha Richards for that beautiful swan puppet that Jan was holding too. Hello, you beautiful people. It's so great to be together again today. I would like to thank the women of SAG-AFTRA who gave a big chunk of our annual budget to provide the food for our Laughter Glow after this. And also to thank Terry Lawler, who got wine for us, and Herflix Media, who is paying for the wine. It's going to be a nice party afterwards. However, we wanted to make sure for your safety. So it's going to be different this year because we don't want to take many chances. So the food is sort of like grab and go food, except we invite you to grab and stay, okay? And while you're here, I would hope that you creatives especially, would take a moment to talk to at least one SAG-AFTRA card-carrying member. Who was a SAG-AFTRA member in this house? We are so well represented. Hello, hello, hello. Try and meet one or two of them today. And while we're at it, we invite you creatives to bring your projects under the SAG-AFTRA contract. It's an easy thing. We have contracts all the way from student films to the majors, and it adds so much to your project if you do. SAG-AFTRA is very interested in helping you help with your career. Let's see. Now, there will be a step and repeat outside, and of course we encourage you to take selfies with it, but we also would like to try, good catch, baby, we'd like to try and get some group shots. So I will be calling out organizations' names, and if you would listen for that and get in them, because we want everybody that's eligible to be there to be in the shots with them. And that will be during the Afterglow hour. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you one of the co-presidents of the coalition, Women Arts and Media Coalition, the wonderful, amazing Shellen Lubin. You got it.
So great to see so many of you here, especially on this very rainy day. I know it's a little harder to get out, so I'm hoping that those of you who couldn't get here in person are in on the live stream. The Women in the Arts and Media Coalition has been working all these years, every Swan Day, to bring the organizations together who help make it happen, including SVA. You're going to be hearing a lot about the history of Swan Day in a few minutes, so all I'm going to say right now is the coalition is made up of quite a number of different guilds and associations of women in the arts or our unions. And it started as the women's committees, but now it's the whole unions that are a part of it and still trying to make stuff happen for women. So please get information on us. Talk to one of us with these buttons from the board of the coalition. Get involved with us yourself. We are so happy to be here. And now, and one more thing. If you're a member of any of those unions, any of those associations, any of those guilds, you are a member of the Women in the Arts and Media Coalition, and don't forget that, because we have a lot of stuff available to you. There's information out on the tables that you can get during the networking. And now we're going to have a terrific panel telling us the history of Swan Day in New York specifically. It's being moderated by Katusha Jin, and the two panelists are Ava Spoon, who is one of my co-presidents of the Women in the Arts and Media Coalition. Yay. And a SAG-AFTRA Women's Committee rep, and yes, all sorts of wonderful things. And Jen Lisa Hutner of FF2 Media, who, as she was saying before, began Swan Day with Martha Richards of Women Arts. Thank you all for being here today.
All the people who are registrars who got you in here today. So let's have a big hand for the registration team.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for coming out today. I know the weather is a little bit grey, but that's okay. I'm from England, so I'm used to it. Well, I guess we'll have to kick it off. This is the start of our celebration today, and Swan Day was founded in 2007. I know we said previously that it's specifically going to be talking about the backstory in New York, but I wanted us to dig a little bit further back to when it started in Chicago. So let's start with our co-founder, Jan. How did it all begin?
So some of you may have heard of an organization called AAUW. That's the American Association of University Women. I was living in Chicago at the time. I was very active for almost 20 years at that point. Old lady here, with AAUW, and I was the director of college and university relations. And we were looking for a way to bring young women and old women across the generations together. And we knew that there was this problem specifically with relation to women filmmakers that had been surfaced by Martha Lowson. Do anybody know about the celluloid ceiling, the term celluloid ceiling, or Martha Lowson's annual statistics? So I did an interview with Martha Lowson as part of this project kickoff, and she said, we need women to band together in the audience. It's not enough to put all the pressure on the creatives and have them go and speak for themselves, because you know what's going to happen, Jan. They're going to be told they're whining, and they're going to be told that if they were good enough, then there wouldn't be a problem for women filmmakers. And that was the moment at which the whole idea crystallized. It's in an interview that I did with her that's posted on my website in 2003, and she made the comment, which I'll never forget as long as I live: if we change media messages, we change the world.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And since its inception, there have been over 2,000 Swan Day events. Is that right?
Well, that was when we were just counting up events. Now, since the pandemic, we were virtual here in New York for the past 3 years, and a lot of other people. So we really, honestly, we have no idea. But if you're out there next year on this day, the last Saturday of March, Women's History Month, please be planning now for a Women's History Month event, International Swan Day.
That's wonderful. That's a huge accomplishment to have thousands of events across the world, over 37 countries as well. So definitely very international. Now, we've heard a bit about the beginnings from Jan, and now Avis, what about the beginnings of Swan Day in New York? I heard that there was also a proclamation about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that was all news, and I had to go to the archive. So we just found out a couple of things this week. So I have to read some of the amazing things that happened before my involvement. So according to my notes here, there was a strong presence in 2008, and the coalition then was called the New York Coalition of Professional Women in the Arts and Media. That's a mouthful right there. And so the first event was called, this is why I have to read this, WAC, Art and the Feminist Revolution. And Joan Firestone, I don't know if she's here, but if she is, give a wave. She was one of the presidents of the coalition at the time, and the proclamation came in because she, I guess, had a conversation with Mayor Bloomberg at the time. So that was the Swan Day proclamation. And then in 2009, we had several other events, and Martha Richards, who is one of the co-founders of Swan Day, created a Swan Day calendar, and it's on the Women Arts website. So Women Arts is very active participant of the coalition, and did a lot of work and still continues to create a relationship with women in the arts, all of us here, and just keep us in the forefront, because, you know, this is a day of equality, and so we want that to ring true in every aspect of women in the world. So, and in 2009, Martha Richards actually came to New York because the League of Professional Theater Women organized a major event at Lincoln Center, and it was actually covered by the NBC News. So since then, we've had events here for Swan Day. They've been wonderful events, well attended by many of you who you've probably counted 10 or so Swan Day events as well. So that's pretty much everything in New York that I can think of, or that was in the archives.
It's great that you got to dig through, and we learned so much about the history by just reading about it. And yeah, it's a very important event for us to celebrate. And then more recently in 2020, the Coalition presented Martha Richards, the other co-founder of Swan Day, with a really prestigious award, the Vintage Award. Could you expand a little bit about this prestigious award and what it means for Martha to be awarded it?
So in 2020, when everybody had everything virtual, that was our first virtual event. And it was an honor to present Martha with this award because Vintage is one of the Coalition's signature events. And we celebrate the voice, and that particular event supports the vision of women as they age. So we awarded this to Martha for all the work that she has done. And the Vintage Award is named the Elsa Rail Vintage Award by Elsa Rail, one of the co-founders of the Coalition. So we named this, this award was named, and Martha was given this award for all the work that she has done for women arts, for Swan Day, for just women in general, because she continues to support the Coalition in a lot of things that we do. And so going back to Elsa Rail and Martha, the work that Elsa did and the work that Martha is doing and has done is something that we will always support and something that we will always need for women in the arts and media.
Absolutely.
Can we take a cheer for Martha? We're thinking of you, Martha. Yay, Martha.
Yes, thank you so much, Martha, for all the work that you've done. And when Martha and Jan, when you first founded it, it was a bit different to the phase that Swan Day is in now. Could you elaborate a bit on the phases and the growth that Swan Day has gone through and why?
Okay, so originally, as I said, this was an Illinois-based project called With Swan, Women in the Audience, Supporting Women Artists Now. And the idea was that there was a dyadic relationship between artists and audiences. The artist needed someone in the audience to respond to her work, to give her feedback, to give her encouragement, and oh yes, buy tickets, buy artwork, give money, because no money, no art. On the other hand, from the point of view of the audience, and this is what we as AUW took on as our mission, was to say, if you don't have women speaking for you, then the stories that you're going to get about life, all the stories about life, about women together, about women as mothers and daughters, about women as friends, as women across the board, with men as well as with other women, you're going to be seeing stories that are just told from the point of view of men. Now, again, we have 3 colors up here in our logo for Swan. Pink is obviously women, gold is excellence, but purple is the aspirational world where everything's in balance and harmony. We don't want a world with no male filmmakers or male artists, but we don't want a world with no women. We want a world in balance. Again, across colors, across ages, we've really tried to convey with our graphics the universality of our cause. And so that was phase 1. And then Martha and I connected online. In connection, some of you may know that the Guerrilla Girls have been doing campaigns, Oscar year campaigns, to try to unchain women directors. You know, the idea that Catherine Bigelow was nominated for an Oscar in Hurt Locker, a lot of us really campaigned for that. So the first thing that Martha and I worked on together completely on cyberspace was something called the Push the Envelope Please campaign, where envelope was obviously Oscar. So then at the next meeting of the AUW Illinois annual convention, I had Martha invited by the board to speak at the convention with me, and we did a panel together. And this is our true but apocryphal tale that Martha was going to stay in Chicago. We planned some other events for her in Chicago while she was in the neighborhood, quote unquote, before she went back to San Francisco. We got in the car to leave the conference and drive back from Bloomington, Bloomington, Illinois to Chicago, which is about 90 minutes. We stopped for pizza. And we're sitting there in this pizza place on Route 55, somewhere north of Bloomington, in Illinois. And Martha says to me, you know, I've been thinking about this Swan concept, and I've been thinking about Eve Ensler and V-Day, and I think we should have a Swan Day. And I said, I am in. Why keep it? I mean, Illinois is a wonderful place, and I was very sorry to move in 2012, but, you know, yeah, let's go global. If V-Day can be a day, so can Swan Day. And it was really Martha's idea to just take this and grow it and move it across cyberspace. So we did. We just said to everybody, we announced our intention, because there already had been for several years programs in Chicago and all around Illinois on the last Saturday of every month. And we picked that date specifically that Women's History Month would then begin with the political and NGO and governmental focused International Women's Day, but that it would end with International Swan Day, the voice of women artists. That was our conception of the new way to plan Women's History Month events. So AUW Illinois was great. They gave me a big certificate, you know, thanking me and how proud they were to be the incubator of the Swan idea. And then we launched full flood into phase 2, which was International Swan Day. The good news is, as Katusha described, we did phenomenally well. The bad news is that there's only so much you can do on one day. You know, unless your astral body, I mean, my astral body is in Chicago now at the Swan Day celebration at the Gene Siskel Film Center. They're all watching the new movie Hilma, about the artist Hilma af Klint. So my astral body may be there, but she's not really enjoying the movie, right? My body is here with you. So there's only so many places you can be in one day. Giving the Vantage Award was in conjunction with Martha stepping back as executive director. So she's still running Women Arts, but not, she's officially retired, I believe now. I mean, that's what it says on the Vantage. I think that, yeah, there was a transition. And, as Avis already said, that moment in time was coincident with the beginning of lockdown. In fact, we were all planning to be here that day, the 4th Saturday of March, and of course we were not. We were all home, so thanks to Adriana of Herflix, we were able to have a virtual movie. It was pulled together in about 3 days, but we did do a Swan Day event with a film from Herflix, and then we proceeded from there. So that gave me time to say, okay, we don't want to have just one day anymore. We're too big for that. We don't want to confine the Swan concept just to Swan Day. So the birth of International Swans as phase 3 is to say we are now global 24/7, 365. We can do Swan Day any day of the week. Logo can be downloaded from the website, stick it on your cyber poster, send it on your Evite, have a Swan Day event anytime, but then get together in coalitions like this to do Swan Day every year.
And I just wanted to say the award is called Vintage. I like that Vantage. We have the Advantage, but it's called Vintage. And another thing that I wanted to express about New York and Swan Day, NYWIFT, we've done this event several times with NYWIFT, and you'll meet Terry Lawler later in the panel. She's a former executive director of NYWIFT, New York Women in Film and Television, and SAG-AFTRA, who have always sponsored the Swan Day events for us in the past. So I wanted to give a shout out.
So Swan Day is a great way for us to recognize that it's not just the women artists that need to do the work, it's also all of us, the people in the audience. But if we want to take that into the present and the future, Avis, what, in your perspective, are the work that needs to be done moving forward, 2023 and beyond, if we want to support women artists now?
Well, I am a big proponent of working within. So there are so many women, creatives, and artists here. And we have to start, hopefully we'll start today at the networking portion of this. but we need to work together. I am a big proponent of women just wanting to help each other, not creating different things and going off doing it. We really need to come together. There are directors out here, there are other actors out here, and there are other creatives, camera operators. We can go out there and network, and we can have a movie in the works in like a matter of months. So one of the things that I really would like to see happen is that more women work together to do something and not create independent projects and, work together, come together with your projects. That's what I hope to have happen.
And what about you, Jen? What do you think we as Swans can do?
Okay, we are at a perilous moment in history. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you all the details of what's going on in this country right now, but let me just tell you one detail which you may not be aware of. PEN America sent a letter last week to the governor of Idaho, I believe. There's a campus in Idaho that was having a women's arts festival in honor of Women's History Month, and one of the exhibits was an exhibit on abortion, related to abortion. And that artist was told to pack up and leave the premises because it was a state organization. This university was part of the state system, and by having an exhibit or an art exhibit related to the subject of abortion, I haven't seen it, I can't tell you exactly how, but that was a violation of Idaho's law that the state should not sponsor abortion. So that's where we are now. When we think as FF2 Media of the incredible films that we have seen in the past decade, documentaries and features, the Jane story told both as a documentary and as a feature film, different stories. Dawn Porter's a wonderful film on Trap where she tried to warn us. If you think about just the muzzling that's going on in America, and it's going to affect women artists the most because we're the ones that are in danger. Trans people, of course, every person of color, but women are trans people. Women are people of color, of every color. Women are half the population. Women hold up half the sky, women and girls. And yet the muzzling is specifically targeting us in all our intersectionality. And so there's no more important time for women in the audience to speak out. And I want to just give you one more fact. I see my time clock clicking down here. I just want to give you one more fact. There was a lot of concern about the Oscars this year. Me personally, I was stunned that Viola Davis wasn't even I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And any of you who may have heard Melissa Harris Perry's wonderful interview on The Takeaway with Gina Prince Bythewood, this is a crime. But beyond that, there's something that nobody has really told you yet, which is of the 10 actors and actresses, in the best category, so the best actor and the best actress category, there were 10 performances there, 5 women, 5 men. But when no one's telling you that all 10 of those characters were written and directed by men, every single one of them, not one of those 10 actors or actresses was in a film that was either written and or directed by a woman. So yes, I would never take the Oscar away from Michelle Yeoh. She was wonderful, she deserved it, but every single character that was up for an award in the Best Actor and Actress category was a character created solely by men, and I call that the male gaze.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to go on, even though there's definitely a lot more for both of you to share. But if anyone in the audience or on a live stream wants to keep up to date with the things that you and your organizations get up to, how can they do that?
Well, there is an International Swans website now, and it's on all the information. In the Evite, you'll see that there's a description of each of the organizations, the major sponsors today. And if you go to iswans.info, then you'll be able to see new events coming up, get access to the logos to create your own events, and always merch, right?
For the coalition, it's womenartsmedia.org. Please follow us on all social media. It's the same name, Women Arts Media. And we also have a Stage Op and Screen Ops newsletter that would be great for everybody looking for a talent, looking for a camera operator, an actor. All those things are in our newsletter. So go to our website and sign up for them. And hopefully you can participate in the Collaboration Awards, which is another signature event that we get creatives, one of you out there, to collaborate with another one of you out there to create a piece of work and bring it to us, because we would love to have that. And we'll probably do that at the end of the year or next year. But just follow us, go to our website, and all the information will be there.
Okay, so if by the power invested in me as Mama Swan, I would like to call Terry Lawler up to introduce the next part of the program. We thank you all so much for coming in the rain and in the wind and a nasty day, and really have love for all of you here and for all of you live streaming and then later watching this on YouTube later. Thank you all.
Thanks for being here.
Okay,
Where are you, Dana?
Can you see me?
We see you.
I'm way up.
And
I'm
we
in,
hear
in
you.
Connecticut.
Do you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
How was the screening?
The screening went really well. Everybody loved all the films. And I'm going to just start off by introducing these filmmakers. I'm going to try to be brief, but we have some very accomplished women here. All right, first, Annetta Marion, who is...
Hi, everybody. Woo. Thanks for coming today.
And her film was Midas's Son. She is a Primetime Emmy-nominated director and showrunner known for her work on Oprah's Masterclass and NBC's Making It with Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. She has worked on major shows for Netflix, ESPN, OWN, MTV, VH1, Apple Plus, and Investigation Discovery. Annetta's latest film, which she produced, had its world premiere at the 2023 Sundance. Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, directed by Davis Guggenheim. Annetta's work has won multiple awards, including an NAACP Image Award, a Gracie Award, and a NAMIC Vision Award. Okay.
Thanks, Terry.
Estelle Parsons needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. She is an actress, singer, stage director, and now a film director. After studying law, I bet you didn't know that, Parsons became a singer before deciding to pursue a career in acting. She made her stage debut in 1961. She won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Blanche in Bonnie and Clyde in '67. And was also nominated for her work in Rachel, Rachel. Parsons worked extensively in film and theater. On TV, among many other roles, she played Roseanne's mother in Roseanne, and later, Roseanne's mother on The Connors. She has been nominated 5 times for Tony Awards. In 2004, Estelle was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame. Dana Offenbach is a producer, director, and writer. She's the founder of Cinema Street Pictures, and she has many, many credits, including feature films, TV, shorts, television commercials, award show segments, public service announcements, interstitial programming, documentaries, and music videos. She moves seamlessly through these various disciplines. In 2011, Dana opened her indie production company, Cinema Street Pictures, in her hometown of New York City. The company produces original content for worldwide distribution on all platforms with annual budgets in the million. In 2019, Dana's short film, Before It Was True, won Best Short at the Moondance Film Festival. Her short film, My Sun Sets to Rise Again, was picked up for international distribution by Shorts TV and was released in 2019. And Cinema Street also completed post-production on their half-hour comedy pilot titled Stickmen, which Dana produced and co-directed. And obviously she's developing more series and other content. And Cinema Street is the sponsor of the Cinema Street Short Film Contest for women and Dana can tell us about that when we get to that. But this film that we showed, 618 to Omaha, was a winning film from that contest. Let's just talk about short films. Not a huge market for short films, but it is a format that directors go back to and work on. Can you talk a little bit about why short films? Annetta, do you want to start? I know you've made quite a few.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I just want to say thanks to everyone who helped put this day together, especially my buddies, Shellen, Leslie, Avis, and Terry. I love short films. I actually just directed my 14th short film that I'm in post on, and I like it. I like them a lot because I feel like it's harder to make a short film than it is a longer format piece of work because you don't have any room for error. Like in a longer piece, whether that's an hour-long television show or whatever, you've got a maybe room for like a misstep or something like that, where in a short film, something like that, the audience is out. So I love making them, and I also try and always do something different in like my next short film. So it's a place to kind of play and experiment. Yeah, I'm going to keep making them forever. So anyway, I love short films.
Do you have one in the works now?
And I'm in post on. Yeah, it's called Communion, and it's a horror short. One of my producers is here, Marion Negrello. Yeah, was my first short as a director with Steadicam, one actor, and a script with no words. So, there we go.
Sounds challenging, really. What about you, Estelle? What made you decide to do this short?
Oh, well, it's totally different. Kate wrote it as a two-hander for the stage, and so she asked me to direct it, so we put it up, and we played it extensively around New York, and it has its own story because it's a story of her family, and her father actually that's an actor, but it's her father. And the direct descendant from Dred Scott, the woman who runs the Dred Scott Society in St. Louis, came to New York, and the father and she have gotten together and gone around the country speaking about racism. And so this film is really the two-hander that we put on the stage, and we made it because the pandemic came along, and racism is a difficult thing to start a conversation about in groups, so we made the film instead of being able to take the guys around to start that conversation. The film can help to start that conversation. So Kate's father and I forget her name. What's her name? Lynn Jackson from the Dred Scott Society in St. Louis. They've gone around the country and done it. It's a tough subject and certainly a very big one now, so we're very involved in that.
Do you have plans to make another short film?
No, it's the stage piece, and I occasionally act in films, but basically I'm interested in live theater, and I direct in live theater, and films are wonderful, but they make me so nervous. There's so much going on. Just discussing these films today got me all... Because our producer runs a documentary film program at SVA, so he was looking at them, and then he gave me his opinion after the film was over, and I thought, oh my God, I could never.
Did you ask for his opinion?
Work in this medium. It's too complicated. Particularly in short films, right?
Yeah.
Because it has to be done just right. There's no room for error.
Well, let's just talk about something that both film and the stage have in common is the collaboration with the writer. And there's a different weight for the different media. I mean, writers are held in a different level in the stage than they are in film, I think. Can you, Estelle, talk a little bit? Oh, wait, I have to ask Dana. Yeah. Dana,
yeah.
What about you? You're in so short films. You've made a couple. Maybe?
Yeah, yes, I can. I was on mute. Sorry. I just want to start this by saying thank you for having me and that I'm in such esteemed company between Estelle and Annetta. Annetta and I seem to be everywhere together this year. Terry, I think, was reading an old bio. So we were actually in Sundance with films that we produced together. I'm a big fan of hers, of course, Estelle. So I just want to thank you for having me at this party. And I'm going to tell you, I think the most important thing that I can share is that there was a time where I swore I would never make a short film. And then I realized that the reason I had to make short films was because I didn't need anybody's permission to do it. And making a feature film or making as Annetta had said, it's easier. For me, it was easier to make a short, again, because I could just make the decision and find a way to get it done than having to raise money, hire casting people, get the right just the freedom was very different for me. And now I'm kind of addicted.
That's what happens.
Let's just stick with you for a minute, Dana, because I did want to talk about collaboration and writing. And this film came out of our contest, the Cinema Street Women's Short Screenplay Competition. Sometimes I make a mistake with this and call it the Cinema Street Short Women's Screenplay Competition. I have a very short friend, and she was so disappointed when she figured out that I had made a mistake on that. She said, finally, a competition for me. But anyway, Dana, why don't you tell us about that?
So, I had realized, and now times have changed, and there's been some movement with the post-Me Too movement, but, I was always an artist. I had to learn how to produce if I wanted to survive and work and earn a living in this business. When I first started making films, I made my first film, which actually was a short for the New York City Police Department in the early 90s. And, could you go back to the 90s or early 2000s and name 5 women? I'm curious if anybody there, and I'm sorry I'm not in the room with you and can't really talk in a more intimate level with all of you, but just think about what I'm saying. Could you have named 5 women directors in the 90s or even early 2000s? And so, we learned to produce, and I'm, if Annetta's shaking her head, yes, I would imagine why. Unless you were married to a very wealthy person or had a trust fund, you really could not survive as a director in this business or as a creative being, as a woman. And I dare to say that, and I'm sure there's people who will find instances where I'm wrong, but I'm talking as a global overlook of the industry. This was my personal experience. So I decided when I could, and with Terry's help, was that we would launch a women's short screenplay contest and to try and get women who cannot get through the door published. And so first we wanted them to win a screenplay contest. And then the first one out of the gate was 618 to Omaha, which we decided to raise the money to produce it. And now we're getting ready. The second film won during the pandemic, so producing it really wasn't an option at that moment. And now we're getting ready to produce the third winner, and will be our second produced short film, which is really to try and help people get published and move their careers along.
And because these scripts are coming out of the competition, how is your collaboration with the writers different from other experiences that you've had?
My experience with the writers has been amazing, and I will just say this for everybody. I am also really looking to open the doors for other people behind the camera as well. So it started with me. Actually, it was an idea that I talked to Terry about. It was me. One of my weaknesses is writing. It's not my strength. And I said to Terry, I want to do something to find some great short screenplays. And we came up with this idea. So the other thing I want to start doing is really mentoring. I told my husband if I would have won that $1 billion lotto, I would have opened up the Cinema Street Film Academy for young people and would have just helped train them. I feel like I'm at that place right now in my life where I really want to mentor other young people. I actually just hired a young man who just got his master's at Columbia Film School as an assistant at Cinema Street, and he's my third film student that I've hired, one that went on to stay with me and become full-time with me for 6 years. So it's something that I'm also very interested in doing, and I'm hoping that, the pandemic kind of put a little monkey wrench in what we were doing, but I'm looking to be more mentorly.
Great. Estelle, why don't you tell us about your collaboration with your writer on this project, both the play and the film?
Yeah, well, I don't call it a collaboration, because I have great respect for the written word, naturally being a stage actress, which is very different for films because
Estelle.
they seem.
Oh,
Imagine that.
they want to hear you.
Imagine that. I mean, what business am I in, and I don't even know enough to hold up a microphone? Jeez. I'm basically an actress and a director, and I have a great respect for writers. I know that's not sometimes the way it works out in the film world, which, lots of times has lots of writers, or dozens. I mean, I worked for Stuart Stern. Nobody ever touched his stuff that he did with Paul Newman, Anyway, I have a great respect for playwrights. And all of those who are on the stage have a great respect for those words that the playwright gives us. So basically, have that relationship to her. I don't know if you call that a collaboration. Like, we're working on a marvelous play now about racism. It's John Douglas Thompson is like the greatest American Shakespearean actor now. Asked her to write a full-length play of this. He and Sam Waterston did the podcast of A Man for His Time, of his time. And so we're now working on that play, but I put it up and I look at it and I say, if it doesn't work, I say, what do you want to do here? And she does it. We don't collaborate in the sense of both. I could never write. That's just me. I'm not. I mean, people are always saying to me, interviewers all my life saying, well, do you write? And I say, no, I don't write. I can't. I just think of writing and I'm stuck. So I wait for the writing to be done, and that's the kind of collaboration we have. I think it's a good collaboration. I think she probably likes that kind of collaboration. Do you?
Yes. Let's, can you stand? Can you introduce our writer, please? And Annetta, what about you in writing, I know you've written some of your own stuff.
I have written some of my own stuff. I'm a very slow writer, so I don't really consider myself a writer. But for Midas' son, Barbara Toy is here in the audience, who's my friend who introduced me to Fluid Motion Theater and Film, which is the company that produced Midas' Son. And at that point, Tina Lee was the writer of the screenplay, and she had a version of the script. And then she and I worked together to really just kind of tighten it and make it more, just more production friendly, more shootable. And I've done that process with other writers as well, which I really, really like to do. Kind of come in at the end, and then it becomes, more hours at the very end. So because I have such respect for writers and the written word and that sort of thing, I think I'm a good collaborative partner in those instances. But I really enjoy it, and I'm going to be doing more.
I know I said there wasn't much of a market for short films, but where have these? So Estelle, you're saying your film's been being used to start conversations about racism. In what context? In schools or community groups, or how is it being used?
I don't know. I have to ask Kate about that because I don't know where it's being used. It started with our taking it somewhere, I think Taney's hometown, right? Yeah, so we were going to do it in Frederick, Maryland, and then the pandemic came, so I think he financed the film, actually, so he would have it to start a conversation. And I have 2 plays about racism out on the school circuit, but they're plays, they're not films yet.
Right.
But now that I've been here, who knows what I could do next.
The world is different now.
Your scene distributed.
Yeah, so all my movies have played the festival circuit, one shape or another. Yeah, I've never found, if there is a market for short films, and by market I mean some place you can make money, I've never found that place. And if anyone knows where it is, let me know, because I got more coming. Yeah, for me it's not really about making money from them, it's more about exploring the craft and different stories and different storytelling and different collaborations and that sort of thing. But a long time ago, I can remember there were these things called the short film markets, but I think those markets really just got people platforms. I don't know if they've necessarily ever got anyone any money, but we all do lots of things that are not all about money.
Dana, what about you in terms of short?
Yeah,
any of your shorts?
I'm with Annetta on this one. I think it's an art. I think it's a calling card for a lot of people, and I think for me, my first film I shot in India, my first short, and it was a story that I just had to tell, and I had to go back there to tell it. But there are certain airlines that are actually buying shorts now. I did sell one of my shorts to a company called Shorts TV, and it actually got distributed to at 3 continents that I know about, and I was paid something. You're never going to recoup your money. If you do, it would be that 1 in a million, diamond in the rough. I don't think you do a short to make money. I think you do a short to make art, tell a story, or a calling card as whether writer, director, actor, producer for whatever reason. I really kind of feel, and I think there's something that's really comfortable for all of us when we're living in this world of art versus commerce, and there's a lot less stress to make these shorts as well. And I want to go back to something Estelle said that I thought was really kind of amazing, and I'm sorry I didn't say it and missed it, is, there is something about the spoken word, and writing is a real skill, and everybody thinks they can write because they took English in school and they had to write a school paper. But writing a great writer is more valuable than anybody else on the team. And I'm just going to say this out loud because everything we do, story starts with what's written. Story starts with the novel, story starts with the script, story starts with the idea. And so if I kind of passed over that, I just wanted to come back again to say that I feel that writers are the undervalued people in our industry.
Everybody agrees. We just have a few minutes left. Time for a couple of questions. If anyone, yes, right over there.
You mentioned.
Oh, there's a microphone right in front of you. Can you grab it?
Hi, you mentioned working with a script to make it more production friendly, to make it more shootable. Can you explain some examples of what that means?
Sure. So using Midas' son as an example, the basic story that you see in the movie was the basic story that was on the written page. With one, like the biggest exception I can remember is the story was there, but exactly what Billy, the main character, wanted was more general. Like he wanted the support of his family, which is just more general. And we worked together to make it specific. He wanted his trophy to sell it. So that's an example. And so that's not really, it's a production thing in my mind, but it was just a story thing, and the specificity, because I feel like that's what I bring as the director, is the specificity, because I'm the one talking to the actors, and actors, specifics are important. So that's one of the things that I weighed in on, just to make exactly what was there, just a little bit more in focus.
Dana, did you want to remark on this?
Yeah, part of the process that I love is a table read, and which is typically, or, when you get all your actors who are actually going to be in the film and you do kind of your first rehearsal. There's something really interesting to me about that process and hearing those words off the page. I've worked on projects also where, the script was really good and then it didn't come off the page well. So, and also just to kind of piggyback on Annetta, what she's saying, also make it more production friendly. So, if you've got like a scene that's being shot, in a situation that could be really unaffordable, how do you revise the script, or what can you do to it to keep the story intact, but somehow make the production a little easier or friendly? And Annetta, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that, there's always those little tweaks that you can make. I'll tell you one thing. My very first feature, I actually had a very big studio say to me, there's sex in the title of your film and there was no sex scenes. How am I going to buy that film? So there's this collaboration between the spoken word, what the story is about, and then what we see. And I'm sorry, I can't be a little more articulate about that right now.
Thank you. Estelle, did you make changes from the play to make it work better? No. Okay. All right, good. Yes, right here. Can you who has the microphone?
I think I've got a voice that carries.
Okay.
Yes. Or do you want me to wait?
I don't even know where it is. So,
that's all right.
Okay.
It's right here.
Oh.
I am fascinated. Wow.
Anything for you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's kind of you. I'm fascinated by the introduction of Estelle Parsons, that she started out as a singer, because I made my livelihood and success like standing by for Carol Channing and Hello Dolly, etc. And I would like to know what prompted Estelle to change to the acting and forget the singing, because last night I saw a Marilyn May, and she is 95, and brilliant show. Unbelievable. She didn't even stop for a glass of water at halftime. It was really unusual. So may I ask you, what prompted you to go into the acting field and give up the singing field?
I just really fell into it. I think I became a singer because I'm from an old New England family And you could be a writer if you were a woman, but you certainly could never be an actress. So I think I kind of fell into music and singing because that was something that was kind of allowed, you know. And then I was doing all musicals, and then I got invited to do a straight play, and it was extremely successful. From then on, I did mostly acting. Occasionally, I went back to a musical. I did one few years ago, actually. But, you know, the fact is I discovered when I got married that my husband was more musical than I was. And I began to think, what am I doing being a singer when really words and acting are my thing? So just went like that.
Thank
but
you.
Marilyn Mays at Carnegie Hall, imagine
Yes.
that at 94.
And she did a 2-hour show.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic vocally, right?
It was amazing vocally because
Well-
being a singer, you know, at some point you pause for a glass of water, something to
Or
lubricate.
usually you stop singing by the time you're 90. I mean, I could sing for you now and you would not be happy. And I'm
That
in
would
my
be
nightmare about that.
interesting. Is there a chance you could make us unhappy now? No. All right,
You threw
thank
that
you.
gauntlet down. Come on, Estelle.
Okay, we are running out of time, so I just wanted to see Dana. Any last words?
No, you know, this is something I say all the time for everybody in that audience. And since I don't know who's in there, I say, if you're an artist, just go do your art. Don't wait for permission. Don't look for anybody to give you a green light. Whatever it is you do or want to do, just go do it.
Good advice.
Yeah, well, I would just echo what Dana says. You know, if you're a director, direct.
Right.
You know, if that's on your iPhone, however it is, just practice your craft.
Oh, I know you don't want to sing. Do you have any last words for the group?
About what? Doing your thing?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
I think it's very hard, and I must say, the older I get and look back, the more I realize how hard it is. I don't think you can think it's hard when you're doing it. I mean, if you have something you're going to do, you do it. You have to go do it. As Tennessee said, you know, if you have a gift and you don't use it, it's going to destroy you. So you just have to put your blinders on and go ahead. And then when you get old like me, you can think back and think, oh boy, that was really tough. And I really didn't get what I should have gotten, and other people aren't getting what they should get. But you can't think about that. You just have to go ahead and do whatever you have to do. I think that's creatively what you have to do.
Thank you.
Do it.
Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you, Dana and Annetta and Estelle. Thanks to all of you.
Bye, Dana.
Please join us outside in the lobby for reception.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Go do your thing.